Hello, I'm Maiki Oreta, and welcome to Trade Talks, where we sit down with industry leaders, innovators, and change makers who are shaping markets, challenging norms, and making an impact. Here we explore these strategies that drive progress, the challenges that push industries and communities forward, and the ideas reshaping the way we work and live. What's new, what matters, and what's next? Let's find out together. The world, including the Philippines, is closely watching as the dynamics between Israel and Hamas continue to evolve. Recent developments under U.S. President Donald Trump's second term raise important questions about how this ongoing standoff or its eventual resolution could impact global markets and what that means for bilateral trade and investment with the Philippines. Today, we're honored to have Ambassador Ilan Fluss, Israel's ambassador to the Philippines, with us to share his insights on the current state of affairs, its economic implications, and the future of our bilateral relations. Welcome, Ambassador Fluss.
Thank you, Maiki, and thank you for having me over here.
It's a pleasure to have you and to hear your perspective. I guess we'll start with the very basics. Can you give us an update from your perspective about what is going on between Israel and Hamas? It's really a key focus for the world because it pertains to global security and the security of the energy markets and has far-reaching implications.
Correct. Energy, logistics, and so many other implications. It's a very sensitive time now. We are in the midst of a ceasefire and exchange program where the Hamas is supposed to release hostages. In return, Israel is releasing hundreds and thousands of terrorists, of prisoners. So it's really challenging. There were a lot of questions, and the way Hamas was acting was not exactly according to what was agreed, and you saw the terrible performances and shows that they had, which really traumatized many people. Anyway, we hope that we'll have the final stage of the first stage, which means Hamas is supposed to release 4 dead hostages who were murdered by Hamas. Israel is supposed to release more than 600 prisoners, and that will be actually the last stage of the first stage. There are 2 more stages. Currently now we still have 63 hostages. Many of them are dead, some are alive, and we hope and really pray to see all of them coming back home.
It's hard because you're dealing with a terrorist organization, so it's extremely difficult. Is the end in sight, you think, from where we are now?
It's very difficult to say that we're seeing an end because we have to remember Hamas is a terror organization, and its most fundamental issue for them is the destruction of the state of Israel, and they are not willing to recognize the right of the state of Israel to exist. So what kind of solution? So what we are saying is, and we hear this also very clearly from President Trump, Hamas is the evil, Hamas is bad, and we have to make sure Hamas, number 1, cannot attack Israel again. Number 2, will not gain control and will not govern Gaza once again. And number 3, of course, return of all the hostages. So I think with these conditions, we can move in the next stage, which is obviously we have to look on the region, on developments in the region, and of course in economic development.
Yeah, economic development is really important, and with a big focus being on the war between Hamas. How are you able to juggle? How is Israel able to juggle these massive security priorities with sustaining economic growth?
It's a real challenge, obviously, for any country. But it was good that we came into the war with solid and sound economy and economic policies, and that's very important. And we are giving different packages in order to assist. As you know, Israel is a global hub of innovation, a lot of startups and the technology community in Israel. So the Israeli government has also packages in order to assist the startups and the companies to continue in their innovations and research and development. In different ways in order to assist the small and medium enterprises within Israel, in the south, in the north. So it is challenging, but at the same time, even in the last year, we have seen still investments coming into Israel. We have seen more Israeli unicorns enter into the global market. And that's due to the really uniqueness of Israel as a company, as a country that brings so modern, relevant, and good technologies to the world.
The world appreciates the innovations that Israel has really brought to the table. I mean, Waze, Viber are key for the entire world. And what you've done with the Iron Dome has really shown the world what tech can do in terms of security and defenses. What are the other things that we can learn from Israel? Israel is a global tech hub. In terms of food security and national security, what do you think Israel is teaching the world right now?
So I think we're teaching the world it's not, number one, it's not only technology. Of course, you need to have the people, methodology, and ways of operations, and it's something, by the way, that we are sharing with other governments and other militaries around the world, our current experiences. Number two, you need always to be in the front. Innovate, innovate, and innovate. Iron Dome is a miracle. It was invented by people. It saved so many lives, and it really changed the rules of the game. Of course, the other side, the terrorists, all the time also adapting and trying to innovate from their side, and it's a continuous struggle. So innovation for Israel is critical for our existence. Now, for an example, the cherry tomato or the drip irrigation systems, but today we talk about smart agriculture or smart farming, which is the way for the future of agriculture. And Israel is living smart farming and smart agriculture for so many years. Smart, sustainable, whatever you call it. And again, these are technologies and these are approaches and best practices that we are sharing with the world in order to address, including the global issues of climate change and sustainability. And I would say that for me, as Israeli ambassador to the Philippines, when I arrived to the Philippines, before the war, 3.5 years ago, they asked me, Ambassador, what is your vision for the relations between our two countries? And I answered, my vision is building bridges of innovation and technology between Israel and the Philippines.
Yeah, you have a unique perspective. You first served in the Philippines, your first diplomatic post in 1995.
Correct.
And you're back. You've been here for about 3 years, is that correct?
Yeah, 3.5 years.
So how have you seen bilateral relations between the Philippines and Israel change since 1995 to 2025?
That's the reason, actually, why I came back to the Philippines, because the relations have matured, have expanded, have deepened, if it is on the defense side, if it is on trade and economy, if it is on development cooperation, and the ongoing exchange on labor. And I think today we can do even much more. And what we're trying to do is really develop new programs, new areas of activities, and you name it. If it is emergency preparedness, if it is agriculture, water, cybersecurity, etc. The potential is enormous. Israel offers a mindset, technologies, best practices, and we want to work with our Filipino partners in order to address the challenges that you and the Philippine people and Philippine government is facing here in the Philippines.
Okay, we'll dive right into that more after this break. Trade Talks will be right back. Good morning, I'm Maiki Oreta and you're watching Business 360 where we break down the numbers.
This week we saw the S&P 500 make a new historic high.
Connect the dots.
They withdrew from the World Health Organization.
And give you the developments and insights you need to navigate, adapt, and lead. Real Corporation is funding artificial intelligence and data science research at the University of the Philippines.
Business 360, hosted by Maiki Oreta.
Keep it here on BNC.
The Bilyonaryo News Channel. At BNC, 12 noon doesn't mean break. We're always ready to give you the latest news, even at noon.
And those are the news this hour. Here at home, the Commission on Elections assures the Public Attorney's Office files new complaints. NGCP assures the public its Chinese investors are no threat.
Join Maya Rodriguez, delivering fresh news for you. Newsfeed at noon.
Keep it here on the Bilyonaryo News.
Welcome back to Trade Talks. We continue our discussion with Israel's ambassador to the Philippines, Ilan Fluss. Ambassador Fluss, can you tell us, what does Israel need that the Philippines can provide?
Wow. there's a lot. And I will start with OFWs. We employ in Israel today about approximately 28,000 Filipino OFWs in Israel. And it's important to say, 4 OFWs were murdered by Hamas in October 7. 2 Filipinos were taken hostage by Hamas on October 7. They were released November 2023. Now, the 4 victims plus the 2 hostages will continue to get for life support from the State of Israel. And I'm emphasizing this because they get equal rights like any other Israeli who was attacked, who was murdered by Hamas, and like any other Israeli family. The families are recognized families, and they will continue to get support for life from the Israeli government. So when we host OFWs in Israel, and we need now more OFWs, we need caregivers, we have today, we need more, we need hotel workers, we need workers for the industry, for infrastructure, and it's important to say that Filipino workers in Israel are getting the same conditions as any Israeli worker. If it is pension fund, if it is health insurance, if it is overtime, all the rights like any other Israeli. And they feel so much at home. That's what's very important
to note, because all of the entire Middle Eastern region, this is the country that will treat you as equals. So for Filipinos, if you're going to choose a place in the Middle East, Israel is top of mind because you're treated as an equal. You have the same rights and you have the same privileges. But at the same time, because of the war between Hamas, there is that alert level, and Filipinos were asked to leave Israel. Some did, some stayed. When do you think that alert level will be decreased so that more Filipinos could possibly be deployed to Israel to fill the gaps that you guys have?
So actually, this is, of course, something which is a decision of the government of the Philippines, and I hope that this will happen very soon. As I said, we have the need. We want to employ more Filipinos in Israel, and Israel is a good employer. And by the way, most Filipinos have opted to stay. Until now, approximately 1,000. Within a year and a half, only 1,000 came home, most of them because they ended the contracts. Those who are there do not need to leave. It's only if they want to leave Israel. And as I said, most of them have stayed in Israel. So we very much hope that the Philippine government will decide soon that the situation has stabilized and it's safe. And we hope to see more Filipinos OFWs in Israel. Of course, when we talk about other areas of collaboration, we can talk about tourism. Israel is the Holy Land, and Israel is a country of innovation
culture
and history and arts. There's so much to see, skiing in the north and going for trekking in the desert in the south. So Israel offers so much for the Philippine tourist, and we see that the trend until October 7, 2023, until this war started and the attack of Hamas, then we were going to see an increase of 30% in tourism, in Filipino tourists entering Israel, which is incredible. It was going to pass more than 40,000 tourists. On the same time, we're seeing Israelis coming and visiting the Philippines. And the numbers are also growing. I think closer to almost 16,000 Israelis came to the Philippines only last year alone during the war. But beyond tourism, is the BPO industry.
Yeah. What must the Philippines do in order to attract more investments from Israel?
So I think our two countries, basically, we need to invest more in introductions. And this is actually what I'm trying to do. I'm interacting a lot with the private sector here in the Philippines. I encourage the Philippine government to interact more with the Israeli counterparts, Israeli government and Israeli private sector.
Yeah, talking to business groups.
Exactly.
Uniting business groups between the
business
both countries.
Groups and business people, and also small and medium enterprises, a lot of relevant solutions that do not need such a big investment in order to implement them. And also attracting, yes, the BPOs. They can do Israel, the labor in Israel is expensive.
Correct.
You can do services here in the Philippines much cheaper. You're competing with Ukraine, with India, with other countries. It's part of a global competition, and we're seeing the number is growing.
As the Philippines, where do our strengths lie? And with that in mind, what might be the sectors that can be brought here, and what are the jobs that Filipinos can do from here?
So I think here, I mean, as I said, BPO, of course, the ICT, I think the AI is a growing area. But I would say also, I mentioned before, agriculture. The agriculture sector in the Philippines, and this is what actually, when I met President Marcos, and he asked me, Ambassador Ilan, please, what we need here from Israel is, number one, Israeli agriculture technologies to deal with the issue of food security and agricultural productivity. Number two is the area of water. And as you know, the country, Israel is 50% dry lands. 50% is desert. And still today, we don't have a shortage of water. Again, due to technology and best practices. The Philippines, a tropical country with a lot of rain, but there are issues of water. So it's all about water management. So working with water, with the government here, and also bringing Israeli technologies which are from water treatment, water desalination, water conservation, smart water management systems, water prevention of water loss, etc. So much we can do. So agriculture, water, defense, but also areas like safe city and smart cities, areas of health. So Israel has more than 700 startups in the health sector alone. So we have so many things that we can offer, that we can collaborate.
So much to learn from you.
A lot.
For Filipino entrepreneurs that want to do business with Israel, what's the first thing that they should do?
So, of course, we have, at the embassy, we opened 4 years ago an office for the economic and trade relations. And it's a new office in the embassy with staff are working there, and we're happy to do introductions. Of course, you have the Israel-Philippine Chamber of Commerce, who is also very active here, and we'll be happy to facilitate in doing introductions. Let me just add on the agriculture sector. I think it's important to mention, because when we are trying to expand the relations, I can tell you now, currently, we're hosting in Israel 720 Filipinos who are doing an internship program in agriculture. They're in Israel for 11 months. The idea is, 11 months, you can change your mindset. You can understand a different approach to agriculture as a business opportunity. And just last week, I visited Tarlac Agriculture University in Tarlac, obviously, and I met some of the alumni of this program. And we went to visit one of the farms of these alumni. It's amazing to hear from them how they got ideas, not necessarily the technologies, the ideas, how to do things, best practices, and wow, they are successful and they are growing. And they are farmers, businessmen. So these are young entrepreneurs, different ages, where you think, you know that in agriculture sector, farmers are more than 55 years old, average age of a farmer. And here you see, how can we attract young farmers to really move again the agricultural sector? Here, this is one approach. This is one way. This is a partnership we're offering and we're already doing with the Philippines.
Tech infusion can reinvigorate the agriculture sector and make it a little sexier, make it more interesting, especially for the younger people out there. Now, Ambassador Fluss, I know you just came from Malacanang. Anything in the pipeline you can talk about? Anything interesting? What's up next for Philippine-Israel relations?
Well, of course, I cannot talk about all the exchanges, but what I can say is that we are really working hard in order to promote the relations between our two countries, government to government, private sector to private sector, and in all ways that we can do. I can tell you just one small, because we're talking about business, but make it interesting. Last December, we brought to the Philippines 50 Israeli kinds of wines. 17 Israeli wineries who sent here the wines for wine tasting event in order to promote Israeli wine in the Philippines. Now, Israel is the Holy Land. The wine industry in Israel is ancient, but now it's so modern and innovative. So the Israeli wine today is very high quality. We don't have the masses. We're a small country. We forget Israel is less than 10 million people. Very
so
small country.
On the quality.
1/5 of Luzon. So we focus not on quantity, on quality. And I can tell you, about 4 weeks ago, one of the Israeli wines entered into the list of the top 100 best wines globally. So it's one.
What is that called? So we can all take a,
I forgot. There is like a global list of best wines around the world, and an Israeli wine made its way in there.
Okay, we will
So
check that out.
we are bringing
Israeli wine.
innovations, Israeli innovations, in agriculture, in defense, in cyber, in telecom, also in wine, by the way, the new food technologies, all the meatless meat or all these new foods. It's something that is also a growing industry in Israel. So we have so much to do together. And what I'm trying to do as Israeli ambassador to the Philippines is really to promote and deepen the relations, people to people and government to government. Interaction, and funny, last week I went to meet those students, those young farmers. It was so good as an ambassador, instead of being here in Metro Manila or in Makati or BGC, to go out, to go to the farms, to interact with the farmers, with the students in the university. It was fantastic.
I like that you're an ambassador up front, really going out there and really doing what you can on the ground and beyond to strengthen the relationship between the Philippines and Israel. Thank you for your time today, Ambassador Fluss.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Okay, and that's it for today's show. I'm Maiki Oreta. Stay up to date on the latest in business and the economy right here on Trade Talks. Catch us again tomorrow only here on BNC, the Bilyonaryo News Channel.